Oh, yeah, dance for me, oh. Shake it for me, baby, oh. Oh, yeah, dance for your daddy. I wanna see you ginger your body. Oh, yeah, change your style. Let me see you, baby. Oh, yeah, shake it for me, mommy.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mayowa, and today we'll be doing something different. I'll be showing you how to make a simple blouse or a crop top out of the pattern I drafted last week. And if you don't know how to make a pattern or you don't know how to draft one, kindly click on the link in the description box down below, and it will lead you to that video I made last week where I showed how to draft a bodice pattern. So guys, this is the pattern I drafted last week, and then this is the front bodice pattern. And then for this style, I'm just going to make some alterations to this basic bodice pattern to fit into the style we are making today. So for this style, the shoulders, I want the shoulders to be a little smaller than this. So I'm just going to reduce the size of the shoulders. So I'll be reducing the shoulders. I'll take out like 3 inches out of this shoulder. So we'll be left with exactly like 1.9 inches. So this is how wide I want the shoulders to be. Then for the neckline, it's a plunging neckline, so I want to make it a little lower than normal. So I'll mark 10.5 right here. Then pick up my French cuff and connect like this. And this is the type of V neckline I want. You can decide to like make your own V neck straighter, like instead of a bit curved like this, you can decide to make it straight like this, anyhow you want it. And this is my altered bodice pattern. So all I have to do now is just increase the length of the blouse. So I'll be adding 2 inches to the length here. Now for the back, I want the back to maintain this basic neckline that we drew last week. So I'm not going to alter or do anything to this neckline. The only thing I'm going to do is to reduce the shoulders like I did for the front bodice pattern. So I'll just take out 3 inches like I did earlier. So you'll notice that here, instead of being left with like 1.9 inches like we had on the front bodice pattern, we have like 2.5 inches here, and that is because of the neck darts that we have here, this back neck dart. So all we have to do right now is just fold in the darts. Like this. Then you can just secure it with a paper tape or pin or whatever you have. So for the bulge that appears on at the back of some clothes where the zipper is located, all you have to do to eliminate that, all you have to do is just measure 1.5 cm here, like this. Then measure another 1.5 cm from the middle point here. And we have it here. So all you have to do is just find a place to connect it to at the top here, like mid armhole, just like I've already done. then you connect the same way for this part also. So instead of having to pick out our zipper like this is how we have already reduced the bulge, so it's firmer at the back of your clothes and doesn't give that bulge that is common with some clothes. Now I'm just going to go right ahead to cut this out and then bring it back and then add my allowances to it. So here are my cut out pieces. This is the back piece and this is the front piece, all cut out. You can see this. This is the neckline. They added 2 inches right here. So I added like a 1/4 inch allowance to the neckline, 1/2 inch allowance to the armhole, and then to the side I added a 1 inch allowance. Then for this side, because this is the front piece, I'm going to be folding this part out of my pattern. I just like to add this little bit of extra space here, just so that I'm comfortable. It's just a personal preference for when I'm drafting patterns. So then you see this little mark I made here. It just means that this front piece is going to be cut on fold, meaning when you are laying it on your fabric, you fold it, and then the folded part is where you place this side. Then for the neckline, anytime you have like a plunging neckline like this, or a pattern that is quite long and not the usual like short neckline, all you have to do is just like hold a little piece here, just so the neckline doesn't gape. So you just hold the amount you'll be holding here depends, is at your discretion. So for me, I'm going to be holding like, this is no more than 1 cm, so I'll just hold like 1 cm here, just so that my neckline doesn't gape. Then I'll be taping it down with a paper tape. And this is my back piece with the neck that's taped down. Then this is the zip part I was talking about. So all you have to do is just cut this out. Normally, if you leave it like this, this is when it gives that bulge at the back of your zip line. So I'm just going to cut it out. And that's it. So I'll go right ahead to cut this out of my fashion fabric right now. So these are my cut out pieces from my pattern. So this is the zipper side, and then first things first, before we continue, this neckline would have to alter it, just because the shoulder of the front piece has been altered. Remember this, because we wanted the shoulders shorter. So we already marked 2 inches out, or rather 3 inches out. So we'll mark at 3 inches out of this. And we'll be left with 1.9, just like 1.9 inches, just like we had in the front piece, just so that the front shoulder and the back shoulder, they are both the same and there are no discrepancies. So now we'll pick up our French curve and then we mark. We'll maintain this 2.5 cm that's already been marked previously. Then we connect. So now you mark out your allowance. We maintain this cut out allowance, then this is where you cut this out of the pattern paper. Then you repin. Then cut out the fabric accordingly. So you do the same for the lining piece, and then for if you are going to attach interfacing to this, then you put in you do the same for the interfacing too. So here is my extra added 2 inches. Then I added another 1 inch just for turning the lining, but I made the lining ½ inch shorter than the fashion fabric, just so when I turn just for turning the blouse. And this is my front piece, and this is it on fold. This is the lining piece, this is the fashion fabric, and this is it on fold, meaning it's still together, and this not on fold. That means it's cut into 2 pieces, and this is where we'll be placing our zipper line. Now I'll just go right ahead to cut out my interfacing, and then iron it on my fashion fabric. Now for the dart, this is where the dart legs, this is where they stop. So all I have to do is just extend it here, extend it, then notch with the scissors. Then for the dart point here, I'll be transferring it to my fabric by putting a pin here into this point here, and I'll be using my tailor's chalk to mark this down. Then do the same right here. So you do the same for the back piece, for your lining, for your interfacing also. So guys, this is my fashion fabric with the interfacing ironed on. This is the front piece, and then you can see that I've sewn the darts and also ironed it flat. I've done the same also for the back pieces. This is the back piece with the darts sewn and ironed down, and then done the same for the lining. Please, when you are sewing please make sure you use a thread in matching colors or with your fabric. I only used this color of thread so that you can see my seam lines clearly. So now I'm going to go right ahead to trim out this excess out of my front piece and then sew on the lining right sides together like this. This is the right side of the lining, right side of the clothes, and then I'll piece the two together like this, making sure these two middles align with each other. Then I sew the necklines round with a 1/4 inch allowance. 1/4 inch allowance that I already added to my pattern piece is what I'll also be sewing out of this clothes. Then I'll do the same for the back pieces also. Now that I've sewn around the necklines like this, the next point of action is for me to notch it around like this. Then I'll turn it around and top stitch right here. Top stitch the lining straight down. Then I'll iron flats. So now the next step is for me to turn to close up the hem lines. But instead of like folding it down by 1 inch, what I'm going to do is I'll be turning it together, right sides together, just like this. I'll be placing both together, right sides together like this. Then I'll sew down by 1/2 inch because that's what I added to my pattern while making it. So I'll sew it down by 1/2 inch. Then I'll do the same also for the back and turn it around. Now I'm going to be joining the shoulders. So what I'm going to do is to place the front piece and the back piece together at the shoulders like this, making sure they both align. Then I'll pick these two linings, these two sides of the lining, like this. You can decide to pin it down right here so it doesn't move around. Then I'll sew it here by 1/2 inch and also do the same for the other side too. Now I'm going to be showing you how to cut the bell sleeve for the blouse. So to cut the bell sleeve, pick up a piece of fabric, then you fold it up like this in a triangular form. You fold it once like this, then you fold it once more like this. 4. If you count it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it's folded into 4. Now after folding it the second time, this is what it looks like. This is it. So we have it in 4 pieces now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you pick up your bodice. And then you measure around the armhole. Like this. For me, I have 18 inches. So that 18 inches, I'll divide it by 4. If you folded your fabric, this fabric into 8, you divide your 18 inches by 8. Now that 18 inches, I'm going to be adding 5 inches to it, just because I want my sleeve at the shoulder side to have a bit of lift. So I'll be adding 5 inches to it, which gives me 23. So 23 divided by 4 is 5.8 inches. But if you folded your fabric into 8 pieces, you divide your 23 inches by 8. So for me, I'm dividing by 4, and that is 5.8 inches. So I'll come right to the edge here. Then I'll measure the 5.8 inches down. Then I'll continue measuring like this. Now that I'm done marking, then I'll just connect like this. Excuse the pencil marks. I hope you can see it. Then I'll come here and then I'll measure how long I want my sleeve to be. So from this point here, I want my own sleeve to be 23 inches long. So I'll measure 23 inches from here down. Then I'll come to the other point here, then measure it down and mark it up again. "23 inches again. Now this is what it looks like up here. I've taken it out with a tailor's chalk, and this is the length of the sleeve right here. So I measured 23 inches from here and chopped it down like this. Then came here again. They measured another 23 inches and also did the same for this point. Now I'll be adding my allowances. I'll just add like half-inch allowance up here. Then down here I'll add 1 inch allowance. This 1 inch is for folding it. It's for folding the hem of the sleeve. And this half-inch allowance here is for joining to the armhole of my bodice. Then I'll go right ahead to cut it out like this. And then I also cut it at the hem here. And this is what it looks like right here. So all I have to do now is just open it up, then come to the hem here, then fold it by the 1 inch I added earlier. So that's what I'm going to be folding it by. Now the next bit is for me to attach the sleeve to the armhole. So I'm going to be placing it right sides together, the right side of my bodice and the right side of my sleeve. Then I'll come right here, pin it down like this. And pick the other edge of my sleeve and also come right here and then pin it down. Now what I'll do is to sew it down by 1/2 inch and then sew it down by 1/2 inch. At a point here I'll start pleating the excess. You know, we added like 5 inches to our sleeve. The measurement of this armhole is 8. We added 5 inches to it to make it 23. So that 5 inches excess is what we are going to be pleating at the sleeve head here. This is the sleeve head of the armhole. So after sewing, we'll sew to a point like around here and stop, sew to a point around here too, and then stop. Then you gather the excess or you pleat, whichever one you want to do, like this, and that gives it that lift that you see on the blouse. So I'm just going to go right ahead to sew it now by 1/2 inch. Then I'll do the same also for the other side. So this right here is the sleeve and the armhole of my body sewn down together, and then these are the pleats I talked about earlier at the middle of my, you can see it, this is my shoulder head and this is where the pleats are located. So now I'm just going to go right ahead to sew this together at the side seams. So now that I've fixed both my sleeves, all I have to do now is to join it at the side seams right here. So I'll just mark out my 1 inch allowance that I added to my pattern. So that I added to my pattern paper. So I'll measure 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch all the way to the hem of my sleeve, and then sew down with a straight stitch. And after, I'll come right here to the middle, this middle opening here. This is where I'll be fixing my zipper. So I'll fix my zipper right here at the middle. Then I'll fold with a 3 cm. I'll fold in my 3 cm allowance, then put in my zipper like this, fixing my zipper here. And that's the end of making this blouse. Thank you for watching, guys, and that's the end of today's video. If you would like to learn how to draft the basic bodice pattern right from scratch, kindly click the link in the description box. And also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in my next video. Bye.